Well, this is a difficult day and a challenging day and a tough day for myself. But I am stepping down as manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. It's not an easy decision. In a lot of ways, I'm old school, and I'm very much dissatisfied with the record and not pleased at all with that. And I think that goes hand in hand with being a manager. So it's been a difficult thing to swallow, but I have thought about it for some time, and we've come to this day.
When Ryne Sandberg woke up at 4 a.m. this morning, he knew that today was his last day as the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Less than 3 years since he took over for Charlie Manuel. He has passed the torch to Pete Mackanin with 119 wins and 159 losses. And for Pete, it's the third time in his managerial career that he has been named the interim manager. The first time in 2005, the last time in 2007. With the Cincinnati Reds. And when fans arrived here at Citizens Bank Park to begin this three-game series against the Nationals, everybody had heard the news, so now the Phillies will move forward, beginning with this three-game series. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy. We'll be joined in just a little bit by Matt Stairs and later on by Greg Murphy. Well, I think everybody that came to the ballpark today was kind of blindsided by the decision of Ryne Sandberg to resign as the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Yes, the Phillies have been struggling as a team on the field, but I think everybody thought that Ryno would be here until the end of the 2015 season. A lot of changes are on the horizon for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I'm not sure if anybody expected that a managerial change was upon us when we came to the ballpark for this Friday evening game against the Washington Nationals. But at 3:30 Eastern Time, Ryne Sandberg and Ruben Amaro met with the media to discuss the decision.
To do this with the club that originally drafted me in 1978, it was a dream opportunity for me to put on a Phillies Major League uniform. And that's where it really hits hard today as far as making it a difficult decision. But with some leadership roles coming up, I think it was important for me not to be in the way with the way things have gone this year, but to allow the organization to go forward and really get this thing going. But in the last 3 years here at Philadelphia, I have met some of the most passionate baseball fans on a daily basis that always gave me encouragement. They love their baseball team, and that was something I'll never forget.
I don't know that Ryne should be feeling like he should shoulder all the blame. We do things as a team, as an organization, and we win as an organization, we lose as an organization, and it's really a team effort. I mean, I take my level of responsibility for the things that are happening on the field as well.
All right, joining us up here in the booth, of course, is Matt Stairs. Now, Matt, you were a player. You've gone through these situations before where a manager has resigned and a manager has been fired during the course of a season, so you know what's going on in the clubhouse right now.
Well, there's a lot of confusion going on right now. The last time it happened to me was in 2010. Riggleman retired with the Nationals. You know, and you sit around and it's like, okay, what's going on? You know, there's a meeting going on, and then you hear the announcement. The one that really surprised me was Tony Pena back in 2005 with the Kansas City Royals, and it's totally different when a manager is fired and a manager resigns. When a manager gets fired, you sit back and go, man, this is our fault. And I've had 19 managers throughout my career, so there's a lot of questions going around. I was surprised and shocked what happened today, and I think a lot of players were as well.
Well, and that's the sense from everybody that was in the clubhouse earlier today, and we'll see what happens as the Phillies move forward. As Pete Mackanin told us earlier today, he is the manager on an interim basis for the rest of the homestand. Baseball will be played. Max Scherzer will make the start for the Nationals. Aaron Harang on the mound for the Phils. Lineups at first pitch when we return. Well, back here at Citizens Bank Park, we're ready to go. Aaron Harang's first pitch of the night is hit in the air to right center field. Odubel Herrera going back. It's over his head, and it's a one hop off the wall. They better get it in quickly because Taylor can run. And Michael Taylor pulls into second. On the first pitch, he leads the game off with a double. Well, right before first pitch, Pete Mackanin brought the lineup card out for the Philadelphia Phillies. We mentioned he's the 53rd manager in Phillies history. And he was as surprised as anyone today when asked about the resignation of Ryne Sandberg. He said he had no idea. He said Rhino kept it so close to the vest. He said he's not even sure if Ryan's wife Margaret knew about it before today. So there he is. John Miserock will assume the duties as the third base coach. Phillies assistant hitting coach. Here's Danny Espinosa now with a runner at second and nobody out. Here in the top of the first. He shows bunt. Bunt's foul. It's 0-1. Aaron Harang on the year 4-9, an ERA of 3.41. It's been a rough go for him. He hasn't won since the 14th of May.
Well, the key for him is to get the ball down the zone. That's what he has to do. Pitch down the zone. The first pitch of the game was up in the zone, and Taylor was very aggressive and hit a double to right center.
No balls, one strike to Danny Espinosa, hitting .266, 8 home runs, 20 runs batted in. He bunts in the air, and it'll be out of the reach of everyone off the top of the dugout. 0-2. There's his numbers, Aaron Harang's numbers. 67 strikeouts in 95 innings of work. 81 hits during that time. He started out on a very strong foot. As we look at his Budweiser scouting report.
Average velocity 89.3, has 5 pitches, uses the fastball the most at 61% of the time, and the league is hitting a .178 versus a slider.
No balls, 2 strikes to Espinosa. And there is the first breaking ball of the evening for Harang. That's the slider, and it remains 0-2. Well, this is not the Nationals lineup that everybody anticipated coming into this ballgame. In fact, it's not the Nationals lineup they had on the board a half hour ago. Denard Span was supposed to lead it off, but he came down with back spasms, so that's why Taylor led off. Bryce Harper's out with a sore hamstring. And Anthony Rendon was placed back on the disabled list today with a quad injury. But they are in first place, 3.5 games ahead of the New York Mets.
I wonder why. Oh, that's right. Pitching.
Probably the guy that's on the mound and everybody else that's part of their rotation, and has 41 1/3 scoreless innings going.
And they're all healthy again.
0-2 pitch, or 1-2 pitch, I should say. A check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. And Harang gets a strikeout, one away. Well, here's the rest of the Nationals lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Escobar, then Clint Robinson. Wilson Ramos, the catcher, bats 5th. Ian Desmond 6th. In the bottom third of Moore, Dendecker, and Max Scherzer.
It's a great mustache in Espinosa.
The one that was up on the video board?
Yeah.
He should have kept it for the whole season.
I agree.
Escobar's had a very good year, 322 with 4 homers and 27 runs batted in. He's 4th in the National League in hitting. Chops it foul, and it's 0-1. Maikel Franco back over at third base. I don't know if Escobar should be termed a surprise. I think he is. I mean, he had all the talent in the world when he signed with the Atlanta Braves. Just didn't always put it all together. Well, this year, 322, he's 83 hits already.
I think a lot of it has to do with him being around a bunch of veterans. You know, and really moving over to third base when Rendon was gone. Regular bases playing, not playing short anymore.
Yeah, he's been excellent defensively too at third base for Matt Williams, who was a heck of a third baseman in his own right.
No, honestly, I think he's grown up a lot.
No balls, 2 strikes, and that pitch hit him in the hands. So he'll take a spot over at first base as long as he is not kneeled over in pain. That was an 89-mile-an-hour fastball from Aaron Harang that just kept on coming inside. Well, here it is.
Those 2 seamers where you know you're going to get hit, because hopefully it doesn't hit you.
Sort of a hollow sound.
Wow.
Well, again, they're without Denard Span. They just brought Emmanuel Burris up.
The reason why, Tom, that was so loud is because they hit him on the guard, on the hand.
Yeah, he's got a protector.
Right in there, you can see that guard.
There are batting gloves nowadays that have a little padding on it. Jason Worth used to wear one of those. Plus the strap that's there as well. It's a good thing he had it, I think.
Right off the bottom hand.
Well, thankfully he had that padding.
Yeah.
He may have saved his hand. Well, that puts runners on first and second with 1 man down. Once he eventually gets down to first base. And that'll bring Clint Robinson up. 269 hitter, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's been pretty good for the Nationals as an extra man. But it's a shame too, because he had Escobar in the hole. At the knees, it's 0-1. Last 15 games, Robinson hitting .313 for Washington. Fly ball, center field. Herrera is out there. Taylor's finally now going to tag, but he's not going to go. A very comfortable throw by Odubel Herrera, and there are 2 outs. During the 2015 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory and 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Grand Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. A little different look to that dugout tonight without Ryan Sandberg in it. Players were as shocked as anybody was. Ruben Amaro met with them at about 3:15 today, and then after the press conference, that's when Ryan Sandberg met with them. First pitch to Wilson Ramos, breaking ball outside, 1-0. Fastball in there. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Phillies kind of got lucky that Taylor didn't decide to go to third base on that deep fly ball to center.
Surprised he didn't.
And they got really lucky because Herrera overshot the cutoff man and would have been a second and third situation. But first and second now with 2 out.
And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's worked ahead of the hitters.
Yeah, and Taylor has tremendous speed. He recognizes early it's going to be in the air. He's looking to see how deep he is. You know, and with his speed, the only thing I'm thinking is he doesn't want to make the 3rd out at third base. But Herrera was very deep in center field when he caught that ball.
Runners lead off first and second. In the dirt, blocked by Rupp. Taylor now going to third, and he'll get there. And that'll be a wild pitch charge to Aaron Harang. And there are now runners on first and third.
Kind of spikes the slider right here. Nice job of taking that in the chest and blocking it, though. Does the smart thing, doesn't come up firing to third base.
Back to the box, off the glove of Harang. It's loose around second base. Hernandez runs it to the umpire. And everybody is safe. It's 1-0 Washington. The umpire is part of the field, but Jerry Meals has got to move a little bit on that. He saw that he was coming at him. That's going to be a base hit and an RBI.
You see Jerry standing right there. Kind of goes in the way of the. Couldn't get nothing on it. So in that situation, why wouldn't the umpire just stay still?
Well, I think looking at the replay, he was trying to move away.
Move away from what, first?
Move away from. I think he assumed that that Cesar was going to be in a different place and maybe Freddie was going to field it. Well, either way, he's part of the playing field, so it does go down as a hit, and it's 1-0 Washington. 1 ball with no strikes to Ian Desmond. Desmond hitting .224, 6 home runs, and 31 runs batted in. He has 19 career home runs against the Phillies. And he's a young guy. On the outside corner, 2 balls and 1 strike. Tyler Moore waits on deck. That hit the bat twice, the catcher once, and maybe even hit the umpire. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The runners will be off on this next one.
Ground ball off the bat, off the top of the head. What the world is going on today?
I have no idea. Something's off its axis or something. I don't know. Runners go. Pitch is hit in the air to right center field. Playable for Dominic Brown or Herrera. And it's Herrera who makes the catch, and the side is retired. Well, after all that, only 1 run scored. 1 run on 2 base hits. Couple left. Max Scherzer working off a no-hitter. Goes to work here in Philly. Are taking the mound here at Citizens Bank Park on the heels of a no-hitter his last time out against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Matt, this was outstanding. 106 pitches for Max Scherzer. And the last inning is where he had a bunch of them. Here's Rendon. This is an unbelievable play. This is the second out in the ninth inning. A little bloop out towards shallow center field. Denard Span makes the catch. And Jose Tabata on this breaking ball. Whoop! Did he lead into it? Yeah, instincts say that he did.
Smart play on his part.
That was the perfect game. It's out the door, but then Josh Harrison out toward left field. And Taylor is able to corral it right at the track, and it's the second no-hitter for the Washington Nationals. I mean, we watched a lot of that ball game. I mean, he was right on everything. And you take a look at his last two starts, he's allowed one hit in 18 innings, and he has 26 strikeouts. There are a lot of people that think the game against Milwaukee, where he had 16 strikeouts, may have even been better than the no-hitter.
Well, what I was very impressed with that no-hitter game is that out of the 106 pitches, he threw 82 strikes. You can see the pitch used compared to the last two games. Both games, 56% fastballs. He does it all with the curveball, slider, and a changeup.
Became just the third pitcher since 1914 to throw a one-hitter and a no-hitter in back-to-back starts. Well, Dan Uggla takes over at second base, and moving from second base to third is Danny Espinosa, because Escobar was hit by a pitch during his at-bat. So again, the injury bug has really hit the Nationals. And Odubel Herrera will lead things off against Scherzer. Odubel hitting .248, 2 home runs, 17 runs batted in. And he hits this one softly toward first. He's got a run, but he's retired 3 unassisted, and there's one away. And that'll bring Cesar Hernandez to the plate. Cesar playing second base again. Chase Utley on the disabled list with the sore ankle. Chase had the cortisone shot on Wednesday in the ankle. And he mentioned on Tuesday night that it's probably going to be 15 days. He doesn't anticipate it's going to be longer. We'll wait and see. First pitch is at the knees. It's 0-1. There's Chase. Cesar had 5 hits in the series against the Yankees. And he hits a breaking ball foul. It's 0-2. Now, obviously, everybody anticipates every time somebody throws a no-hitter, the name Johnny Vandermeer comes up. He's the only one in baseball history to throw back-to-back no-hitters. He did that in 1938. Well, there are 2 outs here in the first. In one of Vandermeer's games, he walked 8. Had 4 strikeouts in one, 7 in another.
Well, and this is one thing here that Max has in his back pocket. He'll average around 92, 93, but all of a sudden, he can pop it at 96 up in the zone and get a lot of swing and misses.
So 2 quick outs. Here's Maikel Franco. 10 home runs, 29 runs batted in. And he pulls that one, caught by Espinosa at third, and his side is retired. That is a 6-pitch bottom of the first inning. All 6 pitches were strikes. We'll go to the second. Nationals on top of the Phillies, 1-0. For the first, Phillies went down quietly in the bottom of the first. All right, Murph, with everything going on here today, there are a lot of people that are affected by this, and Pete Mackanin is the next one up for the Phils as the manager of the Phillies.
Yeah, Tom, you're absolutely right. And, Pete Mackanin said he came to work today, as you mentioned, expecting it to be just another day in terms of getting ready for a big league game, but got a phone call that he needed to go up to Pat Gillick's office early afternoon, and he said, well, I guess this can only be one of two things. He got word they asked him if he would consider taking over as the interim manager for at least this homestand, and Pete said yes, he would. And when asked why he said yes, he said, well, a couple of reasons. One, he respects the Phillies organization, and he knows that they're in a little bit of a bind, and he wants to try and make this transition as seamless as possible for everybody involved as they kind of turn in a new direction, because this was kind of a bit of a surprise to the guys in the front office. So he said he wanted to do that. It's an organization that has given him a chance, a second chance. Ryan Sandberg was a good friend of his. He brought him back to be a part of the coaching staff after leaving a couple of years back when he was Charlie's bench coach. And he said the one thing he hopes is that he can get to the players and try to show them their accountability in this whole situation as well. And he hopes that his message, his communication, that he'll get that message across to them, and they can all kind of move forward together as the next chapter in this Phillies organization.
Yeah, he did not pull any punches when talking about accountability, not only by the Phillies players, but about players around Major League Baseball. That it's very different than when he first got into the game. It was kind of interesting to hear it come from his mouth about the assessment of whether the players have underachieved or not this year. And he did acknowledge, he said, listen, I've done it before. I did it with Pittsburgh, I did it with Cincinnati. He said, so it was sort of natural that if they were going to ask, I'm comfortable with being part of that role.
Tom, when asked right off the bat today, one of the first questions from reporters, how do you feel about this situation? I mean, it's not something that Pete Mackanin is kind of grabbing onto and, looking forward to. He said, what? It's not something to celebrate. He's like, it's not something that he was looking for or wanted to do. It's something that he believes he needs to do for this organization and for Ryan Sandberg. Ryan decided that what was best for him was to step away, and someone needs to manage this team in the interim. And Pete Mackanin said, if he was the guy that they tabbed to do it, he's going to go out there and do it because he believes he owes it to the guys in that clubhouse.
Yeah, and he said there's nothing long term. He said he's been asked to do it for the homestand. He said, and that's what his responsibility is right now. 2 balls, 1 strike to Matt Dendecker. And he rolls that one to the right side. Hernandez has it, has trouble getting it out of his glove, but still gets the runner at second base. 4-6 on the putout, and 1 away. And here's Max Scherzer.
And I think a lot has to do with, Pete's put in a different spot than before, where managers were fired before compared to resigning. It's a little harder to say, yes, you'll take over as a manager when when your ex-manager was fired.
Something's going on in the Nationals dugout. I'm not sure what. Maybe they were wondering if Freddie Galvis was on the bag or not. That has to be it. It's the only thing I can think of. So here's Scherzer, who has not been no-hit in his last 2 starts. In fact, he has 2 hits during that time. He sacrifices. And the Nationals have a runner at second with 2 outs. All right, Matt. We've waited until an inning and a half in so you can digest your keys to the game, brought to you by Nissan.
Well, Nissan keys to the game. Harang needs to get the fastball down in the zone, like I said. Martha Junior's been up in the zone. The ball's been getting hit hard. And Herrera, welcome back to the top. Last time he led off was June 3rd. And hitting in the leadoff spot, he was hitting 260 coming into today's game. But no, it was our Nissan keys to the game.
Oh, nice going.
Thank you.
Have they changed at all since you put them down on paper earlier?
Yeah. A few times.
Swing and a miss. It's 0-1.
I had a key about Bryce Harper. He got one.
Yep. Harper's out with a hamstring. Span is out with back spasms. Rendon's on the disabled list. Ryan Zimmerman's on the disabled list. Oh, 0-2 to Taylor.
pretty good pitch.
Pretty good pitch. I think the way Rupp caught it kind of threw off the home plate umpire.
Yeah, the changeup moved. It was an 84-mile-an-hour changeup with a lot of movement.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. He got him with a breaking ball. Second strikeout for Aaron Harang. So a much better second inning than first. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left on to the bottom of the second here in Philadelphia. Against Max Scherzer for a second inning. He threw just 6 pitches to get through the first. Joining us up here in the booth is Phillies Vice President, General Manager Ruben Amaro Jr. This is not your typical day. I mean, even for a team that's struggled like the Phillies, this is not a typical day in the world of Phillies baseball.
No, a bit of a obviously a bit of a shocker for everybody this morning when Ryan came in and to speak with Pat and myself and decided to resign as our manager. It was. Frankly, it was a little bit out of the blue. In fact, a lot of it out of the blue. But we're dealing with it, and we're trying to move forward.
And things like this, I mean, things happen during, for baseball teams, for football teams, for basketball teams. So that's it. You have to kind of just move forward as best you can.
Well, the train doesn't stop. You have to continue to play the season and play baseball and do our jobs. And that's what basically I've asked of Pete Mackanin, who has graciously taken the role of being our interim manager, and John Mizrachi, who is now working at third base in Pete's stead.
Fly ball to center field, and Michael Taylor runs it down. Ruben, I know we heard what Rhino said during his press conference. What was the main thing that he, if you can share that with us, that he told you and Pat?
I think it was exactly the same message. I mean, I think it was to the point where I think he believed that this was the best thing for him and the organization to step down and to give the powers that be a clean slate to move forward. He didn't feel like I think he was very disappointed in our record, our wins and losses, and even though the guys were playing hard and giving their best effort. We're just coming up short.
So now as you move forward, you said today that Pete said today that he'll be here for the homestand. What's the process moving forward? Is it just an evaluation on who the next person could be?
Yeah, I think right now we're just really we're still in, for lack of a better word, a little bit of shock. And so we felt like Pete, since he's been in this role before and actually done a nice job in the interim role, we figured to give him the opportunity, and we'll continue to assess how we want to move forward over the next several days. It is possible that Pete can continue to be the interim guy through the end of the season, but we've left it basically very open-ended, and Pat and I and our baseball group will get together and discuss it a little bit further. But we'll see how it goes over this weekend, and and through this the end of the homestand, and we'll go from there.
Now, at any time, Ruben, during the meeting with Ryan, did you tell him to maybe change his mind and say, "Listen, why don't you stay around for a little while?"
Well, we sure did.
We can turn this around.
In fact, several of us kind of tried to push him to stay with us, but I think that he had really kind of basically made up his mind that he felt it was the best thing for him and his family and for the organization moving forward.
Now, you met with the players. I know Rhino met with the players as well. We were down there afterward, so we kind of got a sense of what the reaction was. What was their reaction when you told them for the first time?
Well, I think they were probably as shocked as I was, and it's pretty quiet. Very, very quiet in there. Probably a little confusion, but a very, very difficult message to give, and a very strange one at this particular juncture. But like I said, we have to move on and play baseball and do what we can to continue to develop these young players.
All right, well, Max Scherzer has another easy inning here at the bottom of the second, Ruben. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and we'll touch base with you again down the road.
Well, thanks, man.
All right, Ruben Amaro, our guest up here in the booth. Phillies and the Nationals go to the third. It's 1-0 Nats. Danny Espinosa rolls over on one from Aaron Harang as we begin the top of the third, and is retired by Ryan Howard. So one away, and that will bring Dan Uggla to the plate, batting for the first time. Well, if you blinked, you missed the first two innings for the Phils offensively with Max Scherzer on the mound. And now Aaron Harang, who didn't get a whole lot of time to sit and watch in the dugout, has one out. And Uggla, who did not start tonight. First pitch is outside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Uggla has had a lifetime of success against the Phillies, even though his skills have diminished in recent years. He has 30 career home runs against the Phils, although this year just 2 for 17. 1 ball, 1 strike. In the dirt, 2-1.
And Uggla is one of those players today that you have to be careful with, because he had no worries in the world. He wasn't thinking baseball. He wasn't thinking hitting. Now all of a sudden he's been put in the game for an injury. It's like someone who's sick. They always have good games when they're sick and they decide to play.
Because they're more worried about being sick.
Well, and they're not thinking about anything. They're relaxed.
I think you're right about that. Outside, ball 4.
Carlos Delgado hit 4 home runs one year with the Toronto Blue Jays.
I remember that.
he was on the table getting an IV before the game, was not going to play. He says, well, I'll try it. What did he do? He hit 4 taters.
Must have been trying real hard.
Or
not thinking.
Not thinking.
Here's Clint Robinson. He flied to center his first time up. 0 for 1. Chopper right side. Hernandez charges, tags, and turns the double play. Side is retired.
They called him safe at second base.
Did Jerry Beals call him safe at second?
Called him safe at second.
And now he's going to third. Wait a minute. No way. He's over at third, and he's safe at third right now.
Well, they're saying that he missed the tag.
He definitely tagged him.
He did, and you could tell by the way Oakland was going around second base.
It's pretty obvious by looking at this that he is out. That's the crew chief, Jerry Meals, who got in the way of Cesar Hernandez earlier to allow the run to score. And now he's getting in the way of this top of the third coming to a close. And they'll look at this and they'll overturn it pretty quickly.
They might want to just turn their head about 45 degrees and look up, and you'll see it.
Yeah, so they're going to review it. The Phillies are already heading off the field. They'll put the headsets on. This could be the fastest replay in the short history of replay.
And even if he wasn't tagged, he's out of the base path.
Way out of the baseline. And the baseline is wherever the base runner establishes it. It's 3 feet to the left and right. And he is...
right by the 6 is where he tags him, right there.
Yeah. That's pretty clear. Max Scherzer wants to go out and start warming up, and he knows. Well, this will be a double play, 4-3.
But the umpires cannot look up at the Jumbotron and make the decision.
No,
right?
they have to let New York take it once they put the headphones on.
Uncle.
I'm kind of surprised that it's taken even this long because, again, they start reviewing it.
Line's busy.
They start reviewing it once the challenge is met, before the challenge is met, and he is out. No runs, no hits, and nobody left. We'll go to the bottom of the third. 1-0 Washington. The fan section for all the information. Please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Matt, the question is, which 3 Phillies hit 30 or more home runs in 2008? Which 3 Phillies hit 30 or more home runs in 2008? You had to look up at the video board by the end of the year, didn't you?
Yeah, I hit all right that year, so I looked at the board. 09, I wouldn't even look at the board.
Cameron Rupp leads it off. Rupp hitting .261. And he loops that one. Foul territory. And what a catch by Tyler Moore. He casually went under it. And there's one away. Well,
I better get this in because we're at 16 pitches. Budweiser scouting report. I'm going to give you some incredible numbers. 5 pitches, changeup, $164. Curveball, 125. Cutter, 167. Fastball, 215. And the slider, the league's hitting 125.
That's total dominance.
And he's been terrific on the road this year with a 1.27 ERA.
His earned run average overall, 1.72 as it keeps going down.
He's thrown more warm-up pitches so far than he has in the game.
7 each. Yeah, he has. There's the 1-0 pitch to Galvis. Galvis takes a strike. It's 1-1. Since June 14th, he has only allowed 3 of the 63 batters he has faced reach base. 3 of the 63 batters he's faced. 1-2 pitch coming to Freddie Galvis. Ground ball towards second. Ugla is up with it. And there are 2 outs. Well, we mentioned this at the outset. The starters for the Nationals are up to 44 innings without allowing a run. It's the longest streak since the 08 Indians. That wasn't a great staff either. It was good. The modern era record is 56 innings by the Pittsburgh Pirates in 1903. Aaron Harang takes outside. It's 1-0. Ball 1 strike.
The number I was shocked at when he threw the no-hitter his last outing, he had 13 flyouts. Like, I consider him a sinker ball pitcher, a ground ball pitcher.
Yeah, 13. I think I'm with you. I think that's high.
And he only had 4 outs on the ground.
Well, we watched the last several innings of that game, and he didn't miss a beat. A couple of good defensive plays behind him. We showed you the Rendon one. 3 balls and 1 strike to Harang. Chopper to shortstop. Desmond is up with it. 3 in the books. 9 up, 9 down for Max Scherzer. We'll go to the 4th inning very quickly here at Citizens Bank Park with the Nationals up 1-0. Double the love it at McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com. Phillies trail at 1-0. Well, the Phillies' wives, and you can see them, many of them sitting there, including Angela Ashe, who's wearing the T-shirt that she and Cody designed for ALS. Earlier today, they helped release From Our Home to Yours, the Phillies players and wives cookbook. And they were in the Majestic Clubhouse store with that cookbook, and it's a little different version than the one we've seen in past years. Phillies have done that for a number of seasons now. The new book features 36 favorite recipes from the players and coaches with plenty of healthy ingredient substitutions. Beyond the delicious assortment of snacks, main entrees, and desserts, each two-page spread also provides calorie content. As Ryan Howard grabs that one out of the air, and there's one away. What you just saw there was Cody and Angie's Caribbean jerk chicken. So you can purchase the book by going to the Majestic Clubhouse store or by going to Phillies.com. Here's Ian Desmond, and he lines one to left field, and Cody takes it on a hop. And Desmond will put the brakes on after rounding first. So a one-out single.
Two very good plays right there. One by Cody Ashe out in left field was getting it on a short hop, but the better play was throwing it off balance, getting the ball in deep, shortstop to not allow Ian Desmond to get to second base.
Well, he's getting better and better out there. By the way, the proceeds for the cookbook go to Phillies charities. That's usually the case each and every year. Tyler Moore swings at the first pitch, fouls it, and it's 0-1. Were you ever featured in the cookbook, Matt?
No.
In 09?
Nope.
Huh. What would you have put in there?
Probably.
You can't put beer. Well, you could have.
You can mix it with beer. Probably. I don't know. I love all kinds of
Maybe
food.
that's why they didn't ask you.
That'd probably like.
What's the Matt Stairs? What's the main dish that you can make? Barbecue? Is there something?
Oh, I have to make it.
Yeah, it's your recipe.
Lord. I don't know.
I'm glad we had this conversation.
I eat out a lot. I mean, I eat chicken and hamburgers and hot dogs with a schooner.
Don't you cook on the grill? You grill sometimes,
That's what I do right there.
Yeah.
But I've had made lobster macaroni and cheese.
See, there you go. That would be perfect.
Perfect. Gosh, I'm hungry right now.
1-1 to Moore. And that's high, 2-1. In fact, we'll look forward to you making that and bringing it into the office sometime in the next couple of days.
Very best. You get me the lobster. I almost had lobster last night at Chickies and Pete's.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you have instead?
A couple of beers.
That one's fouled back toward the Hall of Fame club. Ooh, nice catch.
Actually, I had a chicken sandwich.
Ball smoked.
Very nice play.
That one's pulled foul. Off the front of the Toyota sign. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Moore. He singled his first time up. He's 1 for 1. Runner goes. Pitch is dribbled in front of the plate. Rupp says he has it. And he gets the batter, Tyler Moore. Now there are 2 outs. Refreshing, great tasting Blizzard Spring Water is the new buzz around the water cooler. WB Mason offers free same-day delivery of 5-gallon Blizzard Spring Water bottles with no minimums or hidden fees. So 2 outs. Desmond's at second base. And Matt Dendecker will be the batter. Dendecker bounced into a fielder's choice his first time up. This one to the right side. To his left is Cesar Hernandez, and the side is retired. So 1-out single is all the Nationals could muster. They leave 1. We'll go to the middle of the 4th inning. The Phillies trail at 1-0. Odubel Herrera will lead it off. Official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. And by the Quality Plus Sports Stores. Go further. Well, last night was the NBA draft, and tonight is the NHL draft. And in honor of that,
with that big old glove right there, the old trapper.
It'd be great to see if he actually gets a ball hit down his way, and he has to field it with that thing. Odubel Herrera will lead things off. The Phillies are hitless through 3. In fact, Max Scherzer is not allowed a hit in 14 innings. Last hit he allowed was a base hit by Carlos Gomez of the Milwaukee Brewers in the 7th inning. That's the only hit he allowed that night. No balls, 1 strike. Inside, 1-1. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Juella Frankhauser of Ben Salem. Phillies hit home run in today's ball game, and Juella will win $200.
Another nice play.
But he brought a glove, and he was smart because that ball was coming in. We thought the other one was coming in hot. That one was drilled.
Coming right at you. Concentration. Backhand.
Yeah.
Excitement.
Guy 3 rows in front of him was covering up. 1-2 to Odubel Herrera. And a breaking ball just a bit outside. 2-2. Well, there's storms brewing in the area, but not tonight. A hot day here in Philadelphia. At least not for now. 3-2 pitch to Herrera, and he grounds it toward the right side. Uggla charges. Herrera hustling, one away. And that'll bring Cesar Hernandez to the plate. Well, Max Scherzer has been very dominant these last 2 outings, obviously, with the no-hitter, but the one-hitter prior to that. Here's his thoughts on his last 2 starts. My last 2 starts, this is some of the best baseball I've thrown. No kidding. Best pitching I've done. I feel like I'm executing with all of my pitches. I think the remarkable thing is that he has had so much left in the tank that he hit 99 in his last inning the other day in that game against the Pirates. And afterward, he was asked about Tabata leaning in. He said, it's instinct. Jose Tabata leaning in on that breaking pitch. 1 ball, no strikes to Hernandez.
All right, I look at it a different way. He leaned into the pitch with his elbow a little bit. But if he doesn't hit him, maybe he would have got a hit.
Maybe he would have.
All right, so maybe there's a reason why that ball hit him in the elbow guard. Right here, he just kind of dips down very smartly. Takes a hit by a pitch. That would have been a ball inside. Oof. So you can look at it 2 different ways, Tom and Greg.
That's nice of you to include Murph into it.
Oh, yeah, always do.
2-2 pitch to Hernandez. Swing and a miss. He got him with a changeup. Well, that's what he's talking about executing all of his pitches. We saw all of them in that at bat right there. That's 3 strikeouts for Scherzer.
And this is actually his best changeup of the night. He's been frustrated a little bit, but has that downhill motion off his changeup. You can see the circle change. Great arm speed, same slot. Ball just dies at home plate.
Michael Franco lined out his first time up. He hit the ball right on the nose. Ground ball to shortstop. Desmond is up with it. 4 no-hit innings for Max Scherzer. His streak is up to 15 straight no-hit innings. On to the 5th, with the Nationals holding on to a 1-0 lead. A quiz answer. All right, Matt, here's the question. Which 3 Phillies hit 30 or more home runs in 2008?
Lou Marson, Greg Dobbs, and me.
Great.
Oh, wait. Howard, Pat the Bat Burrell, and Utley.
That is correct. Howard hit 48, and Burrell and Utley both hit 33. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Phillies hit 214 home runs that year. As that one is lined off the glove of Hernandez, and Max Scherzer is aboard with a leadoff single here in the 5th. So he has 3 hits now in the last 3 games.
And how about Span pulled himself before the no-hitter, just before the game, and threw the no-hitter that day. And what happened today?
Span pulled himself because of back spasms. Well, I hope it's not a carbon copy, Matt.
Me either.
By the way, you contributed to those 214 home runs during the regular season.
My whopping 2.
You hit 2. Well, you were only here for a short period of time during the regular season.
Jason Worth at 24 that year.
Jason Worth, as that ball is loose and Scherzer's going to go to second, he's going to tire himself out. That'll be a wild pitch, the second one of the day for Harang. Worth hit 24, yep. Pedro Feliz hit 14. Victorino hit 14. Rollins had 11. Costi, Dobbs, and Jenkins each had 9.
Good basing by Max at first base. Doing whatever it takes to get to second base.
Well, it's 1 ball and no strikes to Taylor, the runner at second.
I'd like to see Franco move in a little bit at third base. Taylor's got good speed and a good bunt. He's going to beat it out. Move in about another 5 feet.
Well, there you go. Franco charges, bare hands, throws, not in time. You're right on with that, Matt. So runners on first and third with nobody out.
Well, it's no secret how they're playing right now. They want to get a man on first base or second base. They're trying to advance. Espinosa tried in the first inning. You know, it's a pretty good bunt. Well, Franco does a nice play. Taylor just a little too quick. Franco looked like he hurt his shoulder. He's rubbing it a little bit at third base.
May have been the position he was in when he threw it. Scott Sheridan, the Phillies athletic trainer, looking on. And Denny Espinosa, who's 0 for 2, takes inside. It's 1-0.
Probably right there.
Oh, yeah.
Tough landing.
I thought he fell cleanly. Foul ball, and it's 1-1. That ball got a piece of Rupp. Runner goes and then stops. The ball is lined out towards center field. Herrera comes running in, makes the catch. Scherzer's tagging. The throw to the plate is not in time. Sacked fly for Danny Espinosa. And it's 2-0 Nationals. #21st RBI for Espinosa. Well, give Scherzer credit on that one. You know, going to second on the wild pitch. After reaching with the leadoff single, that kind of set the whole thing up.
Had a little travel right there before he threw it. And once again, we got lucky because he overshot the cutoff man, and Taylor again stays at first base. A lot of run around the bases for Max that inning. Scherzer.
In the dirt again. Rupp is able to keep this one around the area, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser is still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Two 0 Washington. They have 2 runs on 6 base hits. And Oakland, foul tip. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Taylor wants to go at first base. That time Aaron Harang gave him a quick pitch. Taylor puts all that weight in that front leg and he wants to go.
Up high. Clint Robinson waits on deck. Center field. And Herrera is out there. And there are 2 outs. Well, this homestand will also feature the Xfinity fireworks shows after Wednesday's game against the Brewers and Thursday's ball game. Wednesday is a 7:05 first pitch, and then Thursday is a 6:35 first pitch. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Phillies will then hit the road after that, take on the Atlanta Braves. Clint Robinson is 0 for 2. He fly to center. He grounded into a double play. That's a bullet. It's foul, but man, that ball was crushed. Nice pursuit by that youngster all day. Pitch out, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Broke his bat, and there's a bloop over the head of Freddie Galvis. Taylor will stop at second. First and second with 2 men down. And Wilson Ramos is coming up. Seven hits now for the Nationals with 2 outs here in the 5th. Again, though, it's only a 2-0 ball game. I mean, you got a guy throwing a no-hitter on the other end, but it's still only 2 runs.
You got a guy on the other hand throwing a perfect game so far.
Well, yeah, perfect game. Not no-hitter, perfect game.
Well, and we actually got lucky. It's still 2-0 because Taylor should have been on second base earlier by the throw of Herrera to the home plate, and he would have scored right there. Yeah, you bear down, get this out.
Yeah, Ramos has the RBI, but it was an infield hit, or one of the RBIs on an infield hit his first time up. But he's also lined out to Ryan Howard at first. Goes after a breaking ball, and it's 0-1.
Did you see the 2 home runs he hit in, I believe it was Tampa? His last 2 home runs in one game off of 2 position players.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
First time in the history of the game ever happened that way.
Yeah, because they used 2 the same night the Phillies used Francoeur for 2 full innings.
Well, was it like 6 pitchers or 6 position players
that night?
Pitched, yeah.
Outside, 1-1. Taylor's at second base. Robinson's over at first. And a liner out toward right field. Dominic Brown will drop the ball. 1 run is in. Robinson stops at third. 3-0 Washington. Well, that'll be an E9. Of course, no RBI with that E9 on a ball that should have been caught.
Gets back on it. And no excuse. And just flat out missed it.
You got a guy throwing a perfect game. There's very little margin for error.
Right.
And now it's 3-0. Foul tip, but it's 0-1. Two.
Cameron's been busy tonight.
Sure has.
You almost get the sense that when pitchers are on the mound, they're trying to bury that slider with Cameron behind the home plate, knowing that he's going to block it. 2 strikes, you want to bury this slider. Does a nice job. Him and Chooch do a very nice job blocking the baseballs at home.
I think he's just now having trouble throwing that pitch. That slider, which he threw pretty effectively in the first inning. That's probably about the 4th or 5th one, right? That's bounced in front of the plate like that.
It is. He's spiking it. He really hasn't been throwing a lot of sliders lately. He's been throwing more curveballs and changeups. He's got away from his cutter. He throws that less than 2% now.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him. He went upstairs and picks up the strikeout to wrap up the 5th, but the Nationals do score a couple. Dominic Brown with an error led to 1. He'll be up second when we come back. Phil's fans, next time you're looking for great seats, get to StubHub, where there are no surprise fees at checkout. That's right. On StubHub, the price you see is the price you pay. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of Phillies.com. Just had a glimpse of John Miserock, who's in the third base coach's box, as he takes over for Pete Mackanin. Ryan Howard, it went out toward left center field his first time up. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Max Scherzer is perfect through 4. He is not allowed a base runner. 3 strikeouts during that time. 5 ground ball outs. That one's looped out toward right center field. Taylor's going to get there. He makes the catch. And 1 out. Dominic Brown's coming up. Murph, let's see if you can break this offensive slide right here.
All right, I'll do my very best by giving you the Coors Light cold hard fact for this afternoon. According to Alliance Sports Bureau, Max Scherzer is the 5th pitcher in the modern era, so that's since 1900, and the first since Jim Tobin in 1944 to allow 1 hit or fewer in back-to-back complete games. He's obviously did that in his last 2 games, following it up with that no-hitter, and flirted with the perfect game in both of those as well. So it certainly is impressive. Of course, Johnny Vandermeer did it back in 1938 when he threw the back-to-back no-hitters. I was going to ask you guys if you know the answer to this. Who's the last pitcher to throw a no-hitter in Major League Baseball and then follow it up with a complete game shutout? Do you have an answer for that? Tom, I think you may know this.
Was it James Pud Galvin in 1884?
That is incorrect. Although that was a heck of a guess.
Breaking ball. It's 1-2. Matt, what do you think?
What was the question?
Last guy to throw a no-hitter and then follow it up with a complete game shutout.
Pedro Martinez.
That is incorrect. How about Tommy Green for your 1991 Philadelphia Phillies?
That one's hit well out towards center field. Taylor's on the run. He's going to have room. And he makes the catch. Tommy Green, huh?
Our good friend.
I think I did see that today somewhere. That's right.
He threw a no-hitter against Montreal, right?
Correct.
And then who was the shutout against, Murph?
Not Montreal. And not the Phillies. I've narrowed it down.
Nor the Nats. Wasn't the Nats.
I don't remember. I could text Tommy and ask him.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Hopefully his text is with a southern drawl when it comes back to you. Here's Cody Ashe. And Ashe fouls 1. It's 0-1. You mentioned Johnny Vandermeer, the last to throw 2 no-hitters. The comparisons between the two are kind of light. You know, Scherzer, as that one is fouled back, struck out 10 in his no-hitter. Vandermeer's highest strikeout total is 7. Vandermeer, as we said, walked 8 in his second game that he threw the no-hitter. Scherzer didn't walk anybody in his last outing and hasn't walked anybody here. 0-2 pitch to Ashe. Ground ball right side. Oh, man, this is getting interesting. 5 straight hitless innings. It's a 10-pitch inning for Max Scherzer. He is perfect through 5. We'll go to the 6th with the Nationals up 3-0. setting things up for Jonathan Papelbon, who is closing the door with the best of them. The all-time Philly saves leader has been nearly perfect in save situations over the last calendar year. His ERA is among the best in the closer category, and it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. 3-0 Nationals as we go to the top of the 6th inning. 3 runs on 7 hits, and the Phillies do not have a base runner yet. I say yet. Matt Stairs. And as we begin the 6th inning, Tyler Moore will lead it off. Moore has singled. He's also been retired by Cameron Rupp. Pops that one foul. And it's 0-2.
Well, if you look back with the at-bats that the Phillies have had so far.
Fast.
Yeah, and Franco hit that missile to third.
Yep.
That's where you turned your head. You go, uh-oh.
That one's lined out toward left. A base hit for Moore, so that's his 2nd hit. Well, tomorrow, all fans 14 and under will receive the W.B. Mason Collectible Phillies truck. All part of this 3-game series. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. There's a look at that truck. They arrived in our office today. We got to look at them. Looking sharp with the Phillies logo on it. Without Matt Stairs' head. And
yeah, I like the truck better than last year.
Can't have everything, Matt Stairs.
I know. I want to hit. I don't want to hit. I mean, I like to see the Phillies get a hit. And then a homer.
Dendecker fouls it 0-1. Scherzer's on deck. I think he just realized it. That one's hit well, and it's not coming back. 2-run home run for Matt Dendecker. Was not supposed to start here tonight. But it's now 5-0. Dendecker's first home run of the year.
See the location of the fastball. Middle of the plate down. Nice short swing and drives out of the ballpark for a home run.
Dendecker played in 53 games last year for the Mets. Hit .250, did not have any homers as Scherzer fouls that away. It's 0-1. Two. And Scherzer struck out. One away here in the 6th. And back to the top of the order. That'll bring up Michael Taylor. That home run for Dendecker is his 2nd major league home run. He came up with the Mets in 2013 at the end of the year, and that's when he hit his first one as a national, though. 0-1 to Taylor. Way outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. he got him with a breaking ball. So 2 strikeouts in the inning after the 2-run home run. And Danny Espinosa is coming up. Feels like there's like a haze in front of everybody here tonight, except for Max Scherzer. Obviously, it's been a very strange day here at Citizens Bank Park with the news that we heard about 3:30 today, Ryan Sandberg resigning. We had heard that there was a press conference. I don't think anybody anticipated it was that. There were a number of things that were rolling through a lot of folks' minds. For the players, they found out after a meeting at 3:15 with Ruben Amaro. You heard Ruben say that they were surprised, and they were. Just talking to some of them before the ball game. Justin DeFreitas, who played for Rhino down in AAA, I mean, he was shocked. They all were. Jeff Francoeur has been around the game a while. Very little surprises veterans, but I think he was surprised too. The ball's in the dirt, 2-1. One thing that I take away from the 3 years that I've known Ryan while he's been the manager of the Phillies and when he was a coach before with Charlie, as that one's hit out toward left center field, is that he is a tremendous guy. And you hope that he's at peace with his decision. He seemed to be today. As the Nationals are retired here in the 6th, they get a 2-run home run from Matt Dendecker to take a 5-0 lead.
For stop improving player profile, and it is all about Cameron Rupp, who's getting another start tonight in place of Carlos Ruiz behind the plate. Take a look at his numbers in May. 10 games, 269, no home runs, the 2 RBIs, and a slugging percentage of just 385. But in June, when he's got a chance to kind of play on a more regular basis, 333, 1 home run. We saw that the other day, 4 RBIs and a slugging percentage of 444. Guys, it's something we talked about a little bit during the series in New York when Cam hit his first major league home run. Just the opportunity for him to kind of get some regular at-bats and see himself in the lineup over the course of a couple of weeks, time in and time out, has really seemed to give him the confidence, at least offensively, that we didn't see earlier. And it has showed. It has paid off. It paid off for Ryan Sandberg when he was plugging him in the lineup, and Pete McCann obviously certainly hope it will pay off for him as well.
Yeah, we weren't sure how long it would last where he would play a consistent amount of time, if it would be 3 or 4 days and then Carlos would go back in, but I think that we're seeing sort of a transition, at least at this point. Count is 1 ball, 1 strike to Cameron Rupp. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Murph, I see you're on the move, trying to move around to try to break up the little jinx of the perfect game going on, or?
That's exactly right. It's not about exercise for me. It's about breaking up the sure has right now.
It's low. It's 2-2. Little career high. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, the closest the Phillies have gotten to a base runner has been one other 3-ball 2-strike count. And the third 3-ball count overall. Here's the payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. 4 strikeouts for Scherzer. Well, I think we're trying anything to kind of break up the bid for a perfect game or a no-hitter. We've decided to switch places. I didn't know what Matt was doing right away, and then it caught on.
It's amazing what you do on the bench. Down in your player, do it up here.
You were adamant, though. You were ready to go.
Oh, yeah. That time you get to do Ben a nice job.
Yep. Myself some hair. There's Freddie Galvis. He grounded out his first time up. 0-1. Actually feel a little shorter in this seat right here.
I feel smarter in this one.
Oh, it feels comfortable though. I got the iPad over here looking at the NHL draft. Is that what I'm looking at? The NHL draft?
You got my emails up right now.
Got your emails up. Make sure you get back to Jim Smith over here. He's got some real estate for you. That one is pulled down the right field line. It is a fair ball. The first hit of the night for the Phils. An extra base hit for Freddie Galvis. He's in scoring position with 1 down here in the 6th inning. Well, that's right.
It's all about hitting a hanging curve ball, and that's what it was. See, you think positive. Murph was on the move. We're on the move. This is just his worst breaking ball of the day. Up in the zone, and Freddie Galvis hits it down in the right field corner for a long-way-to double.
Well, that ends a streak of 16 1/3 innings between base hits allowed by Max Scherzer. 16 1/3. Here's Darren Ruff to pitch hit, and Ruff takes a breaking ball. It's 0-1. So Aaron Harang's night is done after 6 innings. It seemed like it went by like in a blink of an eye. But he allowed 9 hits and 5 runs during that time. Oh, 2. Well, now they may have just gotten Scherzer mad. To the left side, cut off by Espinosa. And there are 2 outs. You know, Duel Herrera is coming up.
Well, guys, I feel like I did my part leaving the dugout there.
You going to stay there now for the rest of the night?
Well, yeah, I think I have to, right?
Well, unless they don't score here, then you got to go to a different spot. You can't go back to the well next to Alec.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't go talk boating with Alec down there. Here's Odubel, who has grounded out twice. Once to first, once to second. Fouls it back. Got a good pitch to hit there, and he fouled it away. It's 0-1.
Be interesting to see. It's 5-0. See how long they let Max go the remainder of this game. They're coming into today's game, his last 2 outings, he's thrown 225 pitches. I take it he's only thrown 61 so far today, but
Fouled back another one. And Odubel's behind, no balls and 2 strikes. Genmar Gomez has been warming up in the bullpen for the Phillies, so it looks like he'll pitch the 7th inning. No balls, 2 strikes to Herrera.
Not sure if you'll see a better 0-2 pitch to hit than that one right there. That was a 95-mile-an-hour heater, splitting the plate right down the middle. That's the reason why Herrera might have gave himself a little slap in the head.
Well, as you mentioned during the open, for him to be in the leadoff spot for the first time in a while to try to get something going, he may find himself playing a little bit more over the next several days to try to get him into the swing of things again. What does that mean for Ben Revere? Well, I've already seen Revere could play all three outfield positions. I don't think Revere's going to be sitting all that much. He's been red hot.
I would hope not. Swinging the bat very well. Stealing some bases of late.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him with a changeup. So Odubel Herrera is struck out. 5 strikeouts for Scherzer, but he allows his first hit of the night. A 1-out double to Freddie Galvis to end the perfect game. We'll go to the 7th. ChevyDealer.com. Buy Jefferson, where help is all we do. Call 1-800-JEF-NOW or .edu. And buy your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com today. Time now for your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. Well, this has all been about Max Scherzer. Yes, about the Nationals offense. They have 5 runs on 9 hits, but Scherzer's allowed only 1 hit. He just allowed it. With 1 out in the 6th inning, a double for Freddie Galvis. Aaron Harang goes 6. He allows 9 hits and 4 earned runs for the Phils. So now as we go to the 7th inning, the Phillies will turn to their bullpen as Harang will hang out in the dugout. Genmar Gomez 0-1 with a 1.80 ERA. This is a Nationals team that is without Bryce Harper, without Anthony Rendon, without Ryan Zimmerman. They had Yunel Escobar to start the game, but he was hit by a pitch, so he's out. And they also have been without Jason Worth for a good portion of the season. And they've won 9 of the last 12 ball games, so 9-3 during that time to increase their lead in the division to 3.5 games over the Mets, who are leading the Reds as we speak in the 5th inning. So you have to give them credit.
Yep.
For being able to sustain, maintain. And a lot of it is because of their pitching staff, which is everybody expected was going to be one of the best in all of baseball. 1-1 pitch.
Well, and also you have to give credit to players like Espinoza getting back in there playing well. Robinson's been swinging the bat very well, like you mentioned earlier, Tom. And then Dendecker hits a 2-run home run today, so they're getting help from every single one in the lineup, and Ramos has been hot all year. That's how you win games. That's how you win championships. So you cannot rely on your 8 guys day in and day out. It's your bench guys that have to step up and help you.
And let's face it, the starters have been so good. The bullpen, which isn't the best bullpen in the world,
Right.
hasn't really had to be the best bullpen in the world, at least at this point. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Ugla. That's a foul ball. These lucky fans are today's Citizens 7. They will each receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. Here's Bryce Harper out with the hamstring issue. And a strike 3 call. Douglas down looking. That guy's had himself one fantastic first half. He's in the conversation for MVP at the midway point.
I can see that. He's having a good year. Well over 300 with 20 home runs. I believe he's hitting about 344 coming into today's game.
Swing and a miss, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Robinson. One's off the end of the bat. Hernandez charges. 2 away. Chad Billingsley pitched for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs tonight against Louisville. Went 5 innings, allowed 5 hits, 1 earned run, 79 pitches. So the next step for him is to try to get that pitch count up closer to 100. At least that was the thought. And then he would make his way, as long as he's healthy, back here to the big leagues, coming back from that lat injury.
Yeah, Phillies.
Breaking ball, and it's 0-1 to Wilson Ramos.
So Chad will make probably one more start, you figure?
That's what I'm thinking. Get closer to 100 pitches as long as he's healthy.
Then probably join the team either at the end of Atlanta or on the California trip.
Yeah, he'll probably join them not to pitch in Atlanta, although he could. Today's Friday.
He could get that Sunday game.
No, he'd probably pitch the first one out the West Coast, yeah.
Wait. Give him a thumbs up.
She's not interested in waving or giving us the thumbs up. She can join a night out with mom and dad, though. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Toyota Major League Scoreboard, the Dodgers lead the Marlins 6-1. That game's in the top of the 6th. Scott Van Slyke. A home run, 2 RBIs. And a strikeout for Gomez. So he starts the inning with a strikeout, ends the inning with a strikeout. And it's time to stretch here at Citizens Bank Park with the Phillies down 5-0. Offense going against Max Scherzer as we go to the bottom of the 7th. 2015's Food Service Breakout Player of the Year is W.B. Mason, providing amazingly low prices on kitchen disposables. From your new restaurant partner, who but W.B. Mason. Cesar Hernandez slices one to the alley in left center field for a leadoff double here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So both Phillies hits tonight have been extra base hits. As Maikel Franco is going to come to the plate.
Well, it's nice to see Cesar Hernandez continue swinging the bat well. First pitch fastball, nice swing at the left center. He really has a very good fastball hitter. Good matchup tonight for him.
That's 10 doubles now for Cesar Hernandez. And here's Franco, who scalded one his first time up. A line drive to third, and then grounded out to shortstop. Down and away, 1 ball, no strikes. Oh no, on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Didn't look like it was a bad pitch. I thought it was just a late call. So Scherzer, who has been a strike thrower tonight, 47 strikes, 21 balls, and 68 pitches total, has it even 1 ball and 1 strike. Swing and a miss. Oh, there he is. He's kind of holding that shoulder again.
Yeah, he is from earlier when he landed on it.
Scott Sheridan, the Phillies athletic trainer, keeping an eye out. And now time is called. Franco was a topic of conversation during Ryan Sandberg's press conference today. Somebody asked him, I can't remember who it was, whether what he did the last couple of days, the fact the Phillies have won 3 of 4 as he strikes out, whether that may have changed Rhino's mind. And he said no, but he is excited, or he was excited about what Franco was able to accomplish and what he is able to accomplish. And speaking of Franco, take a look at our T-Mobile game changer. Franco leads all National League hitters in average at .395 during the month of June. Harper's up there, so is Ben Revere. Troy Tulowitzki quietly having a good month of June. That ball goes right on by Wilson Ramos twice. And Hernandez goes to third.
Troy Tulowitzki getting hot.
Just
know
in
his
time.
name will be going around there for trade rumors.
Yeah, you wonder if they're going to trade both Gonzalez and Tulowitzki.
They're not planning on going anywhere for a few years. Why not? Get some young prospects for them.
1 ball, no strikes. It's fouled, 1-1. They tied him up with a changeup. That was a dangerous spot for that changeup, the way it was coming in.
Yeah, Ryan actually kind of changed his stance a little bit right there. He got his foot down really early, trying to recognize the pitch. Problem is, he was looking at one spot and it dropped out of that area.
a changeup, back-to-back strikeouts for Scherzer. 7 strikeouts tonight.
This is just a filthy changeup. I think it's a fastball, same rotation. Almost has the same action as a split finger fastball. Ryan Howard swings over top of the changeup.
Well, that'll bring Dominic Brown to the plate. Hernandez getting a comfortable lead off third in case the ball gets loose of the catcher, Wilson Ramos. Ball, 2 strikes to Brown. Change up down and away, 2-2. I wonder what it must be like for somebody like Scherzer, who just, it seems like it doesn't matter what he, I mean, there'll be a clunker there eventually. There's got to be a game where he throws up a clunker, but not right now. I mean, he's just throwing everything he wants for strikes. Well, that one is down the left field line and sliding foul. Clint Robinson, the left fielder. And they'll list that as a no play. You know, the game isn't that easy, man, as you know. I mean, particularly from a pitching standpoint, it's not that easy.
It's not that easy, as we see the effort by Robinson. Just short of it. Trying to stop. The big man going in there. But no, I mean, the game isn't that easy. I mean, the key for Max is that he throws strikes. And he can throw any pitch at any time that he needs to. But it's the same as hitting. When you get in a good hitter's count or you start feeling good about hitting, it seems like you hit everything. It doesn't matter what they throw or where they throw it.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Dominic Brown.
See, that's the pitch right there. He's got 97 in the tank. Talking about turning it up a level.
Well, 4 3-ball counts. This one 3-2 with 2 outs. I figure he's going to challenge Brown here. And he does. Brown hit it into the luxury suite level. That ball was going in pretty quickly. Out toward left center field. Taylor on the run. To the track, reaches up. It's off the base of the wall. A run is in. Brown's on his way to second, and he'll stop there. It'll be an RBI double. The Phillies are on the board here in the 7th inning, and it's now a 5-1 ball game. Steve McCatty going to the phone, gets somebody up. It's only 82 pitches, but Matt talked about the number of pitches he threw the last couple of times.
Well, that's a good piece of hitting right there. Gets a fastball up in the zone. Doesn't try to pull it. Gets beat just a hair, but strong enough to keep that bat through the zone to hit just out of the reach of Taylor in center field.
And you had to expect he was going to challenge him, right? Up 5-0.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't want to walk somebody. I mean, he could have gone out there and thrown his nasty changeup. But I think Dominic Brown taking the 1-2 changeup. Next thing you know, all of a sudden Max is going there, just absolutely just throwing fastball after fastball.
Well, that ends a stretch of 48 consecutive innings for the Nationals starting staff without allowing a run. 48 consecutive innings. Steve McCatty walking out. Scherzer didn't seem all that happy about the fact that he was coming out. Now they're basically doing that just to get Trinan, or I should say Thornton and Carpenter, a chance to loosen up out in the bullpen. This is when Steve McCatty came out. Looks like he's gassed. Actually, kind of looked that way the other day against Pittsburgh in the 9th inning. Cody Ashley, the batter, with a runner at second. Pretty similar to the 3-2 pitch that he threw to Dominic Brown, or the 2-2 pitch he threw to Dominic Brown. You can fill out your 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot now at Phillies.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Phillies.com. Outside again. Moves the count to 1 ball, 1 strike.
I watch Ramos set up behind home plate calling pitches. Seems like he wants a fastball. He's always looking for the outside to a left-hander. And the changeup, he sets up inside to a left-hander.
On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Braves and the Pirates are tied at 2. Juan Uribe with a home run for Atlanta. Braves are still teetering with that 500 mark over the last several days. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Outside. Does seem like he's running out of gas, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's getting a very good grip on the baseball the last couple of pitches. Wiping his arm off, going back to get the rosin bag. See if he challenges him with a 3-2 fastball away. Looks like he's getting a little frustrated.
Well, this is the 3rd trip to the mound for Ramos during this at-bat alone. Three balls, 2 strikes.
Comes a heater.
Popped him up. Ramos off with the mask, back to the screen and out of room. And Ashley remains alive. Tonight, find out who the Flyers picked in the NHL draft and how it will affect their future. Get total NHL draft coverage on Sportsnet Central tonight at 10 at midnight, right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
You want me to tell you who they picked?
Yeah, tell me who they picked.
But I can't speak Russian. They got Ivan, the man they wanted.
That's all you got, huh?
Where'd he go?
Ivan Provorov.
Yep.
Another one fouled over the screen.
That's what they were hoping to get. They got him.
Well, the kid that went number 1, the Connor McDavid
Connor
kid.
McDavid.
It was no surprise, right?
Unbelievable. Well, there was talk between either Connor McDavid or Jack Eichel were going to go number 1. But very good player.
McDavid went to Edmonton.
Eichel went to Buffalo.
Payoff pitch. Little dribbler. Scherzer off the mound. One hops it. Not in time. Everybody is safe. Runners on first and third. That is the third time Ashe's done that. That same thing over the last several games. So a 9-pitch at bat, and the Phils have 2 on with 2 outs.
It's a changeup. He hits right off the end of the bat. It's a little off-balance throw. It didn't have enough on the throw. Good hustle by Cody Ashe getting down to first.
And Cameron Rupp is coming up. Matt Williams is not going to make a change here. No need to at this point. He's up 5-1. Now, if Rupp gets a hit.
Hanging slider makes this game very interesting. Ooh. Cameron has been swinging the bat well, but ever since he hit that home run, his first major league home run in Yankee Stadium, 4 out of the 5 at bats he's had, he's struck out. And it seems like he's overswinging instead of going back to hitting that ball to right center and right field on the line.
It is kind of a late call by the home plate umpire. A high fly ball. Well, he just missed it. Robinson, the left fielder, makes the catch. And the side is retired. The Phillies do get a run. They get 3 base hits. We'll go to the 8th. It's the Nationals 5 and the Phillies 1. Can't go wrong when you buy right and buy Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Well, Matt, it's time now for our Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Well, comes back in the 3rd inning. Cesar Hernandez does a nice job of coming in and getting the ground ball, tagging Ugla, even though it went to New York under replay. Flaherty tagged us at 6 right there. Good play, bad base running. That's why that's brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
He had Desmond to lead it off against Shenmar Gomez here in the 8th inning. First pitch is outside. It's 1-0. It'll be Desmond, Tyler Moore, then Dendecker, who has a 2-run home run. Oh, man, that's a bullet. It's foul.
That's actually what you call. That's what you call a good hanger. Stays inside, doesn't come back over.
Think he could have hurdled one more set of seats? 2 balls, 2 strikes. Check swing. And a strike 3 called right on the outside part of the plate. 4 batters, 3 strikeouts for Gomez. Tyler Moore's coming up. It's time for the Major League Notebook. Murph?
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Brought to you by St. Joseph's University. And the New York Mets are going back to familiar territory. That is a 6-man rotation. They announced today they'll be promoting their prospect, Steven Matz. Matz is going to come up and pitch on Sunday against the Reds. The reason they're going to go to that 6-man rotation, they're really trying to limit the innings of their young pitchers. The pretty big staff of young pitchers at this point. And in case they stay in the divisional race, they kind of want to limit the innings right now. So they'll bring up Matz to pitch on Sunday. And also a milestone for Prince Fielder, who in the first inning today with Texas as their DH hit his home run number 300 in his career. He and his father become only the second father-son duo to both have over 300 home runs. He and Cecil joined Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds as the only father-son combo to get to that mark. So congratulations to the Fielder family.
I saw the highlight of the home run too. I mean, he's having himself a very good year.
Yes, he is.
Missed a majority of last season, and it was a long one.
And one additional addendum to the Major League Notebook.
Yeah.
Is this your answer?
I did hear back from our good friend Tommy Green, and that he threw the no-hitter against the Montreal Expos, and then I told you that it wasn't the Expos and it wasn't the Phillies.
Right.
I was wrong. It was indeed the Expos. He came back and did it against the Montreal Expos in his next game, and he said in the text message that he sent back, that is the thing he is most proud of. He was able to shut out the team that he had just no-hit. Just 5 days later, he was able to shut them out. He thinks that's a pretty big accomplishment, and hey, hasn't happened since 1991, so I guess it is.
He figured they were already headlong into the scouting report by facing, so he had to mix it up a little bit. Maybe he didn't.
Maybe the hitters didn't make an adjustment.
Silly Expos.
Silly Canucks.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Tyler Moore.
Oh.
Off his foot.
I think that was a little higher than the foot. That was a quick pitch sinker just below the knee. That one's smart.
Oh, yeah, right on the shin.
Yep.
Oh.
I don't know how they do it nowadays, but they used to cut that open. Like when you get a big old ball in there,
yeah,
the blood, and they'll wrap it for a night. You come back the next day, and they'll literally
pop it.
I mean, cut it. That's when you get a free shot to the trainer right in the head. Just kidding.
3 balls and 2 strikes. He's trying to raise up the shin guard. Look, he's moving it up. It was down toward his foot, and now it's up a little bit, right where that ball hit. Over to third, Franco. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire, the opposition 1-2-3. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Toyota Major League scoreboard. The Mets lead the Reds 2-1. That game's in the top of the 8th inning.
Tom, congratulations to the U.S. women's team.
Women's soccer?
Yeah, they won. They beat China 1-0 up in Ottawa today.
I think it's 1-0, Matt.
No, it's 1-0 in Canada.
Oh, is it?
No.
So we're going to miss. It's 0-1.
It's a shutout.
Well, I hope nobody DVR'd it.
If it did, I apologize.
Way outside. Ryan Howard charges. That's a foul ball. It just spun foul at the last moment outside the bag. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. How you doing, kiddo? Swing and a miss. He got it with an off-speed pitch. 4 strikeouts for Genmar Gomez in 2 innings of work. 6 up, 6 down. Middle of the 8th inning, the Phils down by 4. and his mates will be Saturday, August 15th here at Citizens Bank Park. It features special guests, the Avett brothers. For information or to purchase, check out Phillies.com/country. Well, Max Scherzer is set to begin the bottom of the 8th. Are you a little surprised he's out there to begin the 8th?
I am. I'm very surprised. I mean, like we talked about earlier, coming off back-to-back games of throwing 225 pitches, and going in the bottom of the 8th here, he's got 93 pitches. So I don't know. He is your horse, that's for sure.
Galvis bunts, and Scherzer says he has it. He makes the catch. Well, that'll certainly help his cause. One pitch, one away. And Ben Revere is coming up as a pinch hitter. Later tonight, hear what Michael Barkan and Phillies top sports writers think of the Sixers pick, Jahlil Okafor. Plus, we'll talk about Ryne Sandberg and his resignation. Watch an encore of Phillies Sports Talk presented by Comcast Business tonight at 11, right here on Comcast Sports Net. If you are just joining us and have been asleep for the last 7 hours, Ryne Sandberg did resign today as the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Ryne took over in 2013 for Charlie Manuel. Managed all of last year, of course, and then up until this point this season. 1 ball, 1 strike to Revere. Pete Mackanin is the interim manager. Everybody else is the same. Coaching staff has not changed. The only change is that Pete moves from the third base coach's box into the dugout, and John Miserock moves over to the third base coach's box. Revere sends one high in the air to deep right field. It is gone! First row home run for Ben Revere. It's a solo shot. Now a 5-2 ball game. That's right, he caught it. He didn't reach over, he just waited for it. Hold on to that one. Ben Revere doesn't hit that many of them.
That's the fastball, middle of the plate. Just enough, right in the first row.
Nice catch by that gentleman in the first row.
Tom, who's the winner?
Well, I mispronounced her name, I believe, before. Julia Frankhauser, Ben Salem, has won $200 thanks to the McDonald home run jackpot. He was about to give the baseball to the security lady, the event staff. That one is snagged on the backhand, and Odubel is retired by Tyler Moore. Get that ball autographed by Ben Revere. Program the Phillies have here at this ballpark, that if you catch the home run of a Phillies player, you can bring it to guest services, and that ball will be autographed.
Learn something new every day.
2 outs. Here's Cesar Hernandez, and Cesar hits one high in the air to right field. Dendecker going back, and he'll circle back in, and he makes the catch. That'll do it for the Phils here in the 8th, but they draw a little closer. Ben Revere's first home run since September of last year, his 3rd overall, has made it a 5-2 game. fans 14 and under will receive the Fanatic alternate style jersey. Compliments of Pico. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. There's Max Scherzer wandering around the dugout with Steve McCatty. Ben Revere just took him yard. Solo home run for Ben. Pitch hit home run for Ben. So he stays in the game to play center field. No other changes except for the new pitcher for the Phillies. It'll be Elvis Araujo. 1-1 with a 3.31 earned run average. And he's going to face Doug Fister, who's going to pinch hit for Max Scherzer. That's because Harper's not available. Ugla's in. Dendecker's in. Span's not available. You got the backup catcher, and you got Emmanuel Burris.
So why doesn't Max just hit for himself?
That's an excellent question, Matt Stairs.
Lefty on a righty. Now you got a lefty versus a lefty, who throws right-handed, by the way, Fister.
I do not know. I don't have the answer for you.
Google it.
What a way.
Interesting.
I think the closest person to Matt Williams that can ask him is Andy Rabel, who's on the camera in the third base dugout. We can have him leave his post and wander in and just say, hey, how's it going? How come Scherzer didn't bat here?
Sitting on his average. 1 for 2 today.
Taylor pops up the first pitch. So Ryan Howard is over. 2 pitches, 2 outs. So Scherzer's done 8 innings, 5 hits, and 2 earned runs. No walks and 7 strikeouts. You're hard pressed to find somebody who's had a better month than Max Scherzer. There's Danny Espinosa. Why don't you grow one of those, Matt?
Wyatt Earp.
Throw a cowboy hat on him. Ball 4, so a 2-out walk to Espinosa. And Dan Ugla will bat once again. Ugla came on in place of Yunel Escobar. We haven't got an update on Escobar, who was hit by the pitch earlier in the game. keeping an eye on Espinosa, who has just one stolen base, but the lead is just 3 for the Nationals with Storen warming up in the bullpen. Probably wouldn't mind getting an extra run here. Runner goes, pitch is swung on and missed. And Espinosa is safe at second base.
I don't care how strong your arm is. With that jump that he just had, Espinosa, no chance.
Swing and a miss. He got it with a breaking ball. Side is retired. No runs, no hits, and one man left. Last chance for the Phils as we go to the bottom of the ninth here in Philadelphia. This one came in the 6th inning. Matt Dendecker wasn't supposed to start tonight.
No, it wasn't supposed to start, and I kind of wish he didn't. Got a fastball down in the zone. Off of Farang, hits the second career home run to right field, scoring more. That's your W.B. Mason delivery of the game.
All right, so Dendecker's home run is a big part of the reason why the Nationals lead it by 3. The other part of it is Matt Scherzer, who goes 8 innings, 5 hits, and 2 earned runs, and now Drew Storen will take over. This is the same situation. He's going for his 22nd save of the year. He's had a pretty decent season. Although it's surprising to see what lefties are hitting against him. They're hitting over 300 against him. And he will face Maikel Franco, Ryan Howard, Dominic Brown. Storen's 21 saves are 3rd behind Mark Melancon and Trevor Rosenthal. Melancon of the Pirates, Rosenthal of the Cardinals. So Franco will lead it off. He's 0 for 3. He's lined out. He's grounded out. He's also struck out. Takes a breaking ball. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Chopper to 3rd. Espinosa backs up on it. A shortstop by trade, and he just showed off a cannon over at 3rd base. And 1 out for Ryan Howard.
Espinosa has a very good arm, but this is where the game has changed over the last few years. You're down by 3 runs, and they bring the closer in who can run into trouble. Take a strike. What's it going to hurt? First pitch is a ball. You want to make this guy throw more pitches. Make him work.
Let it get in his head a little bit.
Well, yeah, and if he goes out there and throws 7 pitches and gets the save while he's fresh for tomorrow, it's like throwing a side today.
Howard grounds one past the diving Ugla.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. If I'm facing a closer who comes in there and throws upper 90s and has tremendous stuff where he's going to just absolutely blow you away with his fastball, slider, and changeup, whatever. But, I mean, Drew is very hittable. He's not overpowering. He throws a fastball, slider, and a split.
Chopper right side, diving, stop Moore. He'll get the lead runner at second. That's all they'll get. That's a really good play over at first base. 2 outs.
But as he's playing behind Ryan Howard at first, Ryan was in front of him as well. Little screen right there. Very nice play in the short hop. He gets up and throws an absolute missile from his right knee.
Well, this will only be the 6th pitch for Storen, and it's a breaking ball for a strike. Dominic Brown was taken off on the pitch, so he's out at second base. They score that defensive indifference. Fielder's choice. Frank Coors out on deck. There's a base hit to center field for Cody Ashe. Brown is being held at third, and he nearly went through the stop sign. Now he's in trouble. Oh, man. The culmination of what has been a very strange day here in Philadelphia. Dominic Brown goes through the stop sign, dramatically held up by John Miserock, and he is tagged out here in the bottom of the 9th inning, and the Nationals win it by a final score of 5-2.
It looked like he had his head up. He saw Miserock, but he kind of peeked back, and by the time he realized he was too far off the base, he couldn't get back. But
John was pretty clear.
Well, he was, and you have to know in that situation, Dominic Brown, the stop sign was up. But you have to realize in baseball, his run doesn't mean nothing.
Right.
So now you have a first and third situation with Frenchie coming up to have a chance to tie the game.
So the final score, it's the Nationals 5 and the Phillies 2. Nationals take game 1 of this 3-game series. Our Chevrolet player of the game was Max Scherzer, who had a perfect game with 1 out in the 6th inning before Freddie Galvis doubled to break it up.
Well, he came out today, and I don't think he had the greatest stuff. And if you ask him, he didn't have the sharpest curveball. But what he did have working very well was a changeup and an overpowering fastball. His splits were pretty even with his fly balls and ground balls. But he just knows how to pitch. He knows how to get ahead of guys. He knows how to put away guys. So another very good outing. Another very good changeup. And that's why he's your Chevrolet player of the game.
Last 3 starts, 26 innings, 33 strikeouts for Max Scherzer. Nationals win it 5-2. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.